Morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's hearing. I'm going to ask Mr. Minges to read the docket.
Good morning, folks. This proceeding in docket number 2019-147T concerns the application of Miracle Movers Incorporated to amend its Class E household goods certificate, along with the request to amend its tariff.
Thank you. We'll take appearances now.
Charlie Terrini for the applicant, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Welcome.
Alex Knowles for the Office of Regulatory Staff.
Welcome, Mr. Knowles. Thank you. Okay, is there anything preliminary that we need to do?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Alex, Mr. Knowles?
No, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good deal. All right. So, Mr. Terrini, you may call your witnesses and present the case.
Thank you. The applicant calls Hannah Underwood.
Ms. Underwood, if you would raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
No, I don't think so.
Ms. Underwood, please state your full name and address for the record, business address.
Hannah Lynn Underwood, 2220 Highway 643, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, 29577.
Ms. Underwood, did you prepare or cause to be prepared 5 pages of pre-file testimony in this docket?
Yes, yes, sir.
And we have a couple of corrections, or 3 corrections, that I believe you would like to make to your testimony. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
On page 4, line 9, there's a reference to Exhibit B. Would you like to delete that?
Yes, sir.
And on page 4, line 13, there's a reference to Exhibit C. Would you like to delete that reference?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And there is also a reference in your testimony, and it escapes me on what page, but I believe it's on page 4, to the number of trucks your business has. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. It's page 3. So instead of 2 trucks, since I've done this testimony, we now have 5 trucks.
Thank you. And what line was that? Can you?
Line 5.
Thank you. Ms. Underwood, if I were to ask you the questions in your testimony today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, sir.
With the corrections that we made, right?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to introduce the pre-file direct testimony of Hannah Underwood into the record at this time as if given orally from the stand.
Ms. Underwood's pre-file direct testimony with corrections will be entered into the record as though given orally from the stand.
Ms. Underwood, you also filed an updated tariff in this matter with the Commission on July 25th, 2019. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Are there any changes or corrections you'd like to make to that tariff at this time?
No, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to introduce the tariff, the updated tariff filed July 25th, at 4:20 p.m. in this docket into evidence at this time.
Okay, the updated tariff will be entered as hearing exhibit number 1.
Ms. Underwood, tell the Commission a little bit about yourself. What's your educational background?
My educational background is I have an associate in arts. I went to ECU for 3 years. I've always wanted to be in a business situation. Never thought I would be in the moving industry, if y'all want to know the truth. The people who opened up Miracle Movers, I've known them for over 10 years, and I watched them start this business. For over a year before I took over the Myrtle Beach location, I was auditing for them in their North Carolina offices. I was their auditor. Also, from there, I became a sales. I became in their sales, and also one of the office people in their North Carolina office.
Okay, so you mentioned a North Carolina office. Well, first of all, ECU, is that East Carolina
Yes,
University?
sir.
Okay. You mentioned a North Carolina office. Tell us a little bit about Miracle Movers.
So Miracle Movers started about 9 years ago. So we now have offices. So we started out in Wilmington. That's where we predominantly are. We started out in Wilmington. We have one in Raleigh, Lake Norman. We also just opened up one in Pittsburgh. We're in Myrtle Beach. We are actually getting ready to open up one in Charleston, which Mr. Taraney told me that he had just seen. We also are in Sand Hills of North Carolina. So in 9 years, it has grown at a very fast pace. We are completely family owned and operated. Even though we're not blood, like I said, like the people Sam and Chris, who started this, are really good friends of mine, and I've known them for over 10 years. And I watched them start this business from nothing. So I'm very proud to be working for Miracle Movers and be a part of this family company.
That's great. You said you were auditing for them. Tell us more
So
about that.
each week, each city, in order to keep up with everything, each city sends in BOLs. They'll send in all the receipts, and that way, in the Wilmington office is our main office. That way, everybody is accounted for. Everything's kept up to date with and everything like that. So I was helping out with that for over a year.
Okay. And what caused you to go to Myrtle Beach?
So the guy who was originally running Myrtle Beach, not everyone can do this business. Some, he was a former mover in Wilmington and given the opportunity to run his own city, and it did not go very well. So then, and it started going south. So Chris pulled me in, and I started running Myrtle Beach. Back in, I think I finally took it over in December of 2019.
And Myrtle Beach had already been authorized by this commission to provide services. Is that right? And where was it authorized to provide services?
In 3 counties, there's Georgetown, Charleston, and Horry County.
And you said that you never thought you'd be in the moving business. And I've got to say, I think you're the first female head of an office that I've had on the stand here. Have you found yourself, how's
That was a huge issue with Chris. And that is something we talked about because it had come, I had mentioned to him, I was like, I would love to run a city one day after I figured out the moving industry and everything like that. And he was like, you'd be working in a man's world. I have found that being a woman in this industry has greatly benefited. Most people, they respond to women a lot differently, I have learned in this industry. And running a bunch of movers, now can be difficult at times, but it has turned out to be great.
That's good.
Ms. Underwood, I have daughters and granddaughters, and don't let anybody ever tell you it's a man's world. Run it the way you want to do it.
I appreciate that.
Well, about the time, so now you would like to move into a statewide authority.
Yes,
That's
sir.
why we're here.
Yes, sir.
And why is it that you think you can provide services statewide?
Well, just within the 3 counties that we're in, we have expanded tremendously. And I think we can greatly benefit all of South Carolina versus just those being, in those 3 counties. I think South Carolina, Miracle Movers could really benefit, not just, moving, but we get very involved in the community, and we want to be a part of all of South Carolina, not just the 3 counties.
How many employees do you have?
We have
in Myrtle
11
Beach?
right now.
And do you have, you've described your skill set as being managerial. You audit the bill of ladings and that kind of thing, but do you have people that are knowledgeable about the actual moving of
Yes, sir, we do. So we have our one mover, John, and he is amazing. He's been with us for over a year. He's like our operations manager, so he trains these guys with packing and moving on the job site.
And how do you go about hiring your employees?
So we do full background checks and drug tests on each employee. They have to go, and we have the interview, and from there we do the background checks, and we make them take a drug test right then, and then it's later on when we'll call them and let them know if they got the job or not.
Have any of your drivers been suspended?
No, sir.
Have you had any complaints with the ORS since you've been there?
No, sir.
Okay. But any outstanding judgments against you
No, sir.
or the business?
No, sir.
Do you have a criminal record of any kind?
No, sir.
Now, we postponed the hearing in this matter. Can you tell the commission why we had to postpone the hearing?
So we had not heard. So as far as we had back taxes in South Carolina, we had no idea about them. Don't know if that was from the previous manager or what. But once I filed and started going through all this, we found everything. We have since then gotten everything cleaned up. We owe nothing now, and like I said, that's something we'll stay on top of now, and it won't happen again. We just had absolutely no idea. Since we were registered as a company in North Carolina, we never got the memo that taxes for South Carolina were when they were due and everything like that. So that's something that we're keeping an eye on now.
And you filed an updated certificate of authority, or of good standing, really. We call it a certificate of authority with the commission in this docket.
Yes, sir.
And that you did that after everything got caught up because you couldn't get the certificate of authority without it, right?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned 5 trucks. And tell us about your trucks.
So we own 4 of them, and one of them is a lease truck that we do through Penske. We lease trucks through Penske, and what they do is we get a legit Penske truck and they build our truck from scratch. We actually just got that truck maybe like 2 months ago, I would say. We finally just got it in.
So you're at 5 now.
Mm-hmm.
And these are pictures of Miracle Movers trucks with the wrapping and the way you.
And we have 2 of them that are in the process of being wrapped because we actually bought them from the Wilmington office. So they have Wilmington on them, so they're in the process of being wrapped for Myrtle Beach.
And you have insurance because you're operating now.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what your limits are?
$1 million.
And liability, and you have cargo insurance.
Yes, sir.
And do you know how much that was?
50,000.
50,000.
I think it's 50,000.
And those certificates were attached with your application.
Yes, sir.
Where do you see? You've talked a little bit about this, but if I asked you where you saw Miracle Movers going in the next 5 years?
I think it's going to continue to grow. And a main thing with Miracle Movers is that we're very family oriented. So in each county that we're in, we are very involved in that community. And that's one of our main things. Like a goal for Myrtle Beach this year is to hit $1 million. Last year, I think we came in right at 700,000, which is amazing. And it was a huge turnaround from the previous year before. I think we can do very good things.
And you did that in 3 counties.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't operated outside.
No, sir, not the 3 counties. We do line hauls, but we don't operate outside of the counties.
What are line hauls?
Line hauls is like if someone's moving from Myrtle Beach to Texas.
So interstate.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How would you advertise your services?
So the way we advertise is our trucks are a big one. We use an agent called Sales Engine who does our Google and things like that. And then we do foot marketing. So we make baskets and we go into these realtor offices and we hand them the baskets. We ask if we can sponsor a sales meeting or anything like that. And honestly, word of mouth is a huge, from us doing that and being that personable has really benefited us. I think that's our key marketing, is just being personable.
So realtors are a big source of business.
Oh, they're a huge source.
Do you have a bill of lading?
I do.
I don't know what's happened here, but we'll bring it up. And the commissioners have been furnished a copy of your bill of lading, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Describe how, well, you audited bill of lading, so what's the purpose of the bill of lading?
Bill of lading is very important. So first of all is how, the insurance on it is how we keep up with, is how we pay our guys. For one, is how we keep up with our customers, go back and see all the important information. It's also very important to the ORS, so we can keep track of everything.
And, Mr. Chairman, we have handed copies of the bill of lading to the commission, but I don't think they're in the record, and I would like to introduce them as an exhibit in this case.
Okay, we'll enter the bill of lading as exhibit number 2.
Right, thank you. Ms. Underwood, you would like to make changes to your tariff, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Why do you want to make changes to Miracle Movers tariff?
So we are under the South Carolina Tariff Bureau. That tariff is a little difficult to understand, and whenever I first took this over, I spoke with Mr. McGill. Mr. McGill helped me tremendously in this tariff, and he, and we kind of went off of, I was used to North Carolina. I wasn't sure about had no idea about South Carolina. Since then, I've learned a lot. But we wanted to change the rate. Pretty much we just changed seasonal rates. So that way we have more ability to benefit our customers. So October through March obviously that's slow season, so our rates are a little lower. And then April through September, they go up a little bit during busy season.
And is this new tariff a little bit easier to understand?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the one you had before had been approved by the commission in the previous docket, right?
Yes.
Okay. And do you understand that you have to charge the tariffed rate?
Yes, sir.
You can't deviate?
Yes,
from
sir.
the tariff. Where does you have a distance or an hourly charge? When does the clock start running?
So, we have a 2-hour minimum, which I've put all in the tariff. So the 2-hour minimum allows us to not start the clock until we arrive at the customer's house, which benefits in a lot of ways. I know a lot of moving companies start the clock as soon as they leave the warehouse, which can also in turn cost the customer a lot more money. So with the 2-hour minimum, it's 3 hours built into that first 2 hours. We go ahead and automatically charge the 1 hour, travel time. And so we don't start the clock until we arrive at their house, and then the clock stops as soon as we finish at the destination. And that covers the travel time.
Ms. Underwood, did you publish or did we publish a notice of your application?
Yes, sir.
In the Post and Courier, and we filed an affidavit of publication with the commission. I'd like to introduce the affidavit of publication into evidence at this time.
The affidavit of publication will be entered as exhibit number 3.
Ms. Underwood, those are all the questions I have for you. Please answer any questions the commissioners or ORS.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Knowles.
No questions from ORS. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners. Commissioner Belzer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here this morning.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
enjoying your testimony. I want to understand the corporate structure. You say the main office is it one corporation, or is the company doing franchises?
We are not franchises.
Okay.
So that's one thing we are able to that's how we stay a family-owned and operated company.
So the main office is in
Wilmington.
Wilmington, and so these are just branch offices elsewhere.
Yes, ma'am.
But you mentioned that Mr. Torini told you there was a Miracle Movers opening in Charleston. Is that part of your company, or is that?
That's us.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You sounded like you didn't realize there was one opening in
Oh,
Charleston.
no, I did. I mentioned it to him. I didn't realize it had already been noticed by everyone.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am. I did.
Okay, I misunderstood that. Thank you for that
It's okay.
clarification. Let me see. You answered a number of my questions. You mentioned about the slow season and the busy season, yet it appears that the only difference in rates is about $10 on the hourly rate. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And why did y'all decide, is that due to when more people move when you call the busy season? Is that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you're in the slow season now, kind of the winter. Have y'all had to turn away moves where somebody wanted to move from one of these 3 counties elsewhere in the state?
Yes, ma'am, we have.
Okay. And tell me, how long have you been in Myrtle Beach?
I've been in Myrtle Beach for, I guess, a year now.
Okay. Have you noticed any increase in growth or traffic? And
Absolutely. And there's actually an article where Myrtle Beach isn't really supposed to boom until 2022, and it's supposed to continue taking off from there.
Can you give me just a round number of, say, during the busy season, how many moves in a month might y'all do?
I can give you 1 month that we did in 2019. I think it was August. We did a number of 90 moves.
Okay. And how about in a slow month?
I'd say probably about 20.
Okay. So I take it that because you're in here, you see a need for additional moving services from Myrtle Beach.
Absolutely. We've had to turn away quite a mini job just because, we're in that 3-state tariff.
3-county tariff. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate your testimony, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Belser. Commissioners, any other questions? Commissioner Irvin.
You mentioned earlier, excuse me, in your testimony that you're trying to get involved in the local community. Give us an example of what that's like.
So, for example, over the summer, we sponsored a miracle walk in Conway. It was to help children with Down syndrome and things like that, and that's something that we continue to try to get involved with. There's actually something called the Miracle League in South Carolina, and that's something that we also are in the process of trying to sponsor.
That's great. How many folks showed up for your miracle walk?
Oh, there were a lot of them. I think it was probably about 50 of us there.
That's great. So you're going to try to do that on an annual basis?
Yes, sir.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Commissioner Howard.
Thank you, Chairman. Underwood, a couple of questions. Is it any advantage of your company for you being a woman-owned business? I mean, do you have any moving set-asides, like for the government, anything like that?
I think there are some things that we haven't done. Now, whenever I went and I applied to be with, Myrtle Beach's, mine just went blank, but it had a box where you can check as a woman-owned company, and that really benefit. I mean, a lot of people call us because of that.
Okay, thank you. You want to increase from 700,000 to $1 million. Will your change of tariff help you reach that goal quicker?
Yes, sir. That, and I think, honestly, for us to be able to do statewide authority is what's really going to help us with that.
You indicated on your website and also in your testimony that you use social media. According to your Facebook page, you've got some kind of seminar coming up a moving seminar coming up in February. Will you talk to us about that?
Yes, sir. So what we've done and worked really hard with over the past year is we get involved in the senior care movement. What that is we've gotten involved with these realtors, and there's a lady who also is a professional organizer, and we go into these, people's houses and we offer them our services. So we go from We'll pack up your house, organize it, and then we'll move you to your house, and we'll put everything back the way it was. And it helps, especially people with dementia and things like that. It's a huge benefit because a lot of them kind of, if they're moving into a home, they get really upset, discombobulated, you know, and it's very difficult. So we can go in, and before the move, we take pictures of how the house is set up. And when we move them into their home, we have those pictures to set everything back up just as it was, so they aren't as confused.
How do your tariff vary, say, from Pittsburgh to Myrtle Beach? I mean, is it there in tariff geographically?
Oh, yeah, so Pittsburgh's on a completely different tariff.
Are you a member of the Tariff Bureau in those particular states?
No, sir, I don't.
This is the only state you're in a Tariff Bureau?
Yes, sir.
And you will lead the Tariff Bureau?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think you need to check with Ms. Weed on something. Get them straightened out, and we'll get right back to this.
Mr. Trainee, I just want to make sure we're getting the evidence in the record. I'm not sure if we entered the tariff.
We haven't. I was going to move to enter the tariff and the shipper witness affidavit as well as the application into evidence. But since she testified to the tariff, let me move the application, the tariff into evidence at this time.
Okay, it'll be number 4.
And Ms. Underwood, you filed the application in this docket too, right?
Yes, sir.
And I'd like to move the application into evidence.
Okay, we'll enter the application into evidence as exhibit number 5. Okay. Mr. Terrainey, do you want the certificate of authority entered as an exhibit?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll enter that as exhibit number 5. No, is that 6? 6, excuse me.
And
then the shipper witness.
I was going to do it when she leaves the stand, but
Okay.
if you would like to do it now, that'd be fine.
Go
I'd
ahead.
move the shipper witness into evidence, affidavit into evidence.
That'll be shipper witness affidavit will be number 7. Okay. Okay. Any more questions for Ms. Underwood, commissioners? Okay. Anything else, Mr. Trainee, you need to? Okay. Ms. Underwood, thank you for your testimony, and you may step down.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Knowles.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This morning, ORS filed its letter describing the findings of its review. We've shared that letter this morning with Mr. Tarini and Ms. Underwood, and we would ask that it be moved into the record as the next hearing exhibit.
Okay, the ORS letter will be entered as exhibit number 8.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And then I'll also just note that we have Mr. Tom Allen here with us today. Mr. Thomas McGill conducted the review of Miracle Movers, but he's at a training today. So Mr. Allen, as Mr. McGill's supervisor, is here to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Okay. We beat up Mr. McGill too bad the other day, so he just didn't want to come back. Anybody want to speak with Mr. Allen?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd just like to thank Mr. Allen and your staff for working with movers in terms of building tariff for our state. And I think it's commendable that you take the time to do that. It can be confusing for out-of-state folks, so we appreciate those efforts on your part and your office's staff. If you pass that along to your employees, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I think you're off the hook, Mr. Allen. All right. Anything else that anyone has for this particular case? If not, we will rule on that as soon as possible, and we are adjourned.